Hello, everybody. Welcome to Anonymous No More. And today I am moving into the second part of the series of the 7 signs of repressed feminine energy. And so we're going to talk about the second sign, which is a disconnection from tribe, community, or circle, not having that. But first, Anonymous No More is a group that I created, which is empowering women of all ages and stages of life by creating a safe space, a sacred container for women to step out of the anonymous game, step into their truth, and tell their stories, while also providing valuable content that helps women with personal and spiritual development and growth at an individual level, and also to create ripples and changes in the collective consciousness and in our physical world. So that is ultimately what Anonymous No More is. It's a community for women. So again, today we are going back in to the 7 signs of repressed feminine energy, and we're going to talk about the second sign, which is a lack of community, tribe, or circle. So for me, or for my understanding, women, I guess, look at joining in, or the importance of that is different for each woman based on what it is that they're moving through in their life. But ultimately, it all comes down to being a part of something and belonging. But let's go back a little bit in the past. So in ancient times, women shared a lot more than what they do today. They shared care of their babies, gathering food, and cooking food together. The women and the children also shared their lives in intimate ways and were a source of strength and comfort to each other on a daily basis. Traditions like the red tent, where women were together during menstruation times, they came together often with synchronized cycles. And it was a beautiful time for nurturing, sharing women's business, and keeping each other on a resilient and happy, is what I wanted to say. However, today, women are a lot more isolated in their homes, their lives, and we actually become a lot more separated from each other just because of the world that we live in. The opportunities for coming together are actually a little bit more difficult and limited, and the time spent together in these ways are ultimately greatly reduced for us. And because of this, we as women miss out on the beautiful healing and nourishment that comes along with being with each other in community, being with each other in circle, and as a tribe. So women are actually natural nurturers and givers. And it's very vital for us to receive and be nourished, because if we continue to always give, if we're at the giving end of it always, it's going to end up in us being depleted in our energy. And it's an increasingly common health problem for us, especially in women. So women instinctively know how to nourish each other, and just being with each other is actually restorative for us. The community, here's just a really interesting quote to kind of, if you think about it, the community stagnates without the impulse of the individual, and the impulse dies away without the sympathy of the community. So we do need each other, and none of us exist in a vacuum. We live in a society that values its independence. We actually value that as an individual. It's also values the innovation of the world. But when we actually go a little bit deeper, we realize that independence and innovation happen within the context of community. So only by thriving within the confines of a supportive community can we develop the strong foundation that we need to reach outside of those bonds. So there's actually a word for this, and it's called interdependence. And interdependence refers to a mutual resilience on one another, socially, economically, environmentally, and politically. So interdependence implies a healthy need for one another, and recognition that we all have inherent values to share in the world. So taken literally, community usually refers to a city, town, or area in which that we live in, but community can also take on many shapes and forms as well. Some people do find community quite literally in where they live, in their local community and in their neighborhoods. But other people find community through different ways, through local clubs and organizations, through possibly religious organizations, their workplace, or simply with just a group of friends that have common interests. But most of us probably participate in many different types of communities. So building community is one of the most important things that we can do to take care of ourselves as a whole self. A community provides us with a sense of belonging. It allows us to feel like we're part of rather than apart from something. And when we are a part of a community, we have opportunities to both give and receive. We are part of an interconnected circle of support, and that's very, very important to us. So the form of community is not nearly as important as the substance, and communities represent places or groups in which we feel a sense of belonging or shared purpose. And communities are extremely vital to our spiritual and our emotional health. Um, I'm sure that we have all felt alone at one point in time in our lives because it's just a natural part of the human existence. But feeling lonely and alone should be a fleeting experience rather than a permanent feeling. And there are many ways for us to build community in our lives. There are friendships, building social sisterhoods, attending and participating in circles, in groups like Anonymous No More. That's a way of building community, of building circle and tribes. For me, the reason why community and being a part of a community or having a tribe is important to me is because for as long as I can remember, I lacked that sense of connection, of actually fitting in and belonging. And I think most, or a lot of women, not necessarily most, but a lot of women actually experience this. Depending on what your wounds are, a lot of us do connect with the wound of abandonment in this day and age because of the environments that we grew up in. And so we have that lack, that a lost feeling. And then also too, we go through different cycles and processes within our lives when we're having the darkening times of our soul, going through the dark night of the soul. That's actually when we need community the most to support us, because it's something that's been going through my mind lately, is it's a sense of actually being able to tell your stories, because I know for me myself, I haven't really gone into the depths of sharing my story because I feel like maybe my story is really not all that effective or inspirational for other people. Either it's shame from sharing the story and the feelings about my experiences, or it's I don't want to be looked upon like, oh my gosh, you're just another whiner complainer by sharing my story. So, when you're going through situations like that, in order to feel comfortable to share, you need to be in an environment or a safe place where you learn, where you do feel comfortable. For me, I've been doing some research, putting all this stuff together, and a lot of people are, they make their comments in the research criteria when they read articles and stuff like that. And some of the comments were just really out there, and if you look at both sides, you can understand it, but it's just a lot of just stupidness out there. But for me, being in community, I'm more apt and more comfortable to share bits and pieces of me in a room full or a circle of women, as opposed to having men or males involved. I have this intimidation or fear when I'm dealing with the male aspect of humanity, so to speak. So I really have a tendency to lock up and close down, because that's just part of the wound that I had in my childhood. having to do with men in general. So when we're in a community of women, we feel a little bit safer, a little bit more connected, because, you know, we are all women. We all have at one point in time experienced just the physical aspects of being a woman, and also the challenges and stuff like that. So by being in an environment like this, we begin to feel like we're not alone, which we're going to get to in a minute. But just sharing some of my experiences and how I personally feel and how this kind of all came about for me. This is a huge, huge part of my own personal journey and a part of what I'm looking for moving forward um, in my own life, and in my own transformation, is actually being a part of and growing or building community with other people. And it's not about quantity, it's about quality. It's about the content or the substance that's within that. But we're going to go into a little bit more as far as about what community is all about and the benefits of it. So as women, the special bond found in female friendships has proven to have tremendous benefits, both emotionally and physically. And unfortunately, in our segmented transient society, many women do not have close friends with whom they can have meaningful conversations with. Me, myself, the last time I've had really close, tight-knit friendships is when I was a child in school, and I only had very limited connections as far as that goes too, because, you know, I did not fit in. And I was different, and that's okay. You know, I'm learning to work with that, because there's a reason behind it. But a circle of women creates a sacred space that allows each of us to be more deeply present and proactive in our lives. So that's huge, being able to do that. There's also emotional benefits with having community or being in circle with other women, is that research has shown that through friendships, women build nurturing, emotionally fulfilling bonds that serve as a highly effective support system. So within these relationships, women gain self-esteem and validation in their lives as well. And they find support in times of trouble and safe avenues for expressing their feelings and their thoughts. That's something that we all do not do freely. We actually block that part of ourselves because of some type of fear that we built a wall for. It's not safe to share our thoughts and our feelings. And it's a learned process that we need to unlearn and become more open and free with our expressions. But in general, women with close friends experience greater happiness and fulfillment. There's also psychological benefits. UCLA did a study that found in times of stress, men normally respond with a flight or fight reflex. Women also have the fight or flight reflex, but in addition to that, choice in our behavior repertoire, we also have the choice to tend and befriend, which is awesome and powerful. So we pull together to support and nurture one another. That's huge, and that's beneficial, especially in today's world, having a support system. And when we do this behavior actually releases oxytocin. I think I'm pronouncing that right, which is a chemical that counters our stress, and it actually produces a calming effect. And women connecting with women can actually assist in lowering blood pressure, heart rate, and our cholesterol, which is overall a happy, healthier life, right? So coming together as a circle of women has many, many benefits. Which is basically in support of the upward spiral dance of women's empowerment, which leads to better relationships of all of us. You know, there was sometimes, you know, growing up in school, and it's still out there today. I think this is one of the reasons why some women have a hard time connecting to other women, is, you know, that mean girl thing, that they've experienced things with other women or other girls that was not a positive outcome. You know, because women this day and age can be extremely competitive. They're, you know, they can be trying to outbeat someone in their experiences of their wounds or their traumas or the things that they've done. They try to upstep. I know women like that. So that could be one of the reasons why we don't really open up to other women. But oh my gosh, this is such a great resource for us to actually build up on, so that we can support and uplift each other. You know, if those types of women, when you're building community and support, they're not going to be drawn to you if that's not what your intention is. So the gathering of women in circle will not only offer us a source of feminine support, it'll also reconnect us to the strength of our own wisdom. And the wisdom that's inside you, that's longing to be expressed. We're actually going to, the first meet and greet for Anonymous No More is today, which is January 29th, through Zoom. And I'm actually going to do a monthly sacred Zoom with an Anonymous No More, to give us a voice, to be in sacred ceremony with one another. Even if it's virtual, it will still be a very powerful, potent energy that it, fills up, and we can still learn and inspire one another and have a safe place to share what's going on in our lives so that we can benefit from each other. So it's also, when you're in circle, it's your time. And time for women, it's a time for women to actually come together. The strength and the healing qualities of the feminine are needed more than ever in our global community. The divine feminine, that's huge right now, and has been since, I think, like really, really stepping or moving forward in a more powerful way since like the 90s. But she's reemerging and coming out of centuries of being repressed. And we need that type of inspiration, that type of courage and sense of community that energy and that presence so gracefully gives us. So when you are regularly involved with a women's circle, a women's empowerment group, whatever you choose to call it, but a women's group, a women's community, it becomes a fabulous ritual for taking care of yourself emotionally. And I'm going to share with you 6 ways in which a women's circle can enhance your life. Of course, you also have to do the work and participate in the circle to really receive its full benefit and the energy that it has the potential to contain and support you with. I have been in circles. I've been in different circles myself, and depending on the energy that each participant is coming in with, it can be extremely powerful. It can be life transforming experiences that has the capability to really enhance who we are and make us better people and help us heal in ways that are unimaginable and not even thought of. So we get a lot more from being in circle with other women than our attention was in the beginning of it. And just amazing. And to me, when you are part of a circle and you're in there, it's kind of like networking, marketing type of thing. Last night I actually went to a networking meeting because this year I really want to make sure I'm doing networking for my business on a consistent basis. But it was specifically for women. Excuse me. And I'm more of a spiritual, personal type of person, and this networking group or the participants of this group are a little bit different than who I am. And I'm used to that not being, fitting or belonging into community, family or tribe and stuff like that. So, but through my experience, I can tell I read the energy in the room, so I can tell if it's comfortable or not. Well, last night was not really comfortable at all. So when I was doing my speaking bit to explain my services and what I had to offer, and even, put this group out there, because it was a group of women and it would be ideal to have, a wide range of connecting to help raise consciousness of the world. I could tell that the energy, it wasn't really a welcoming, comfortable energy. So that's really not my circle of people at a personal level. Other groups that I've participated in, there is a shamanic circle that I've attended a couple of times. That's really nice. But 2, it's never the same group, and I think that makes a difference too with building trust and and being comfortable to share certain things and freely express yourself. But you can always read the energy in the room. My first few experiences were fantastic. I got a lot of insights taking the journey, and then the last one that I attended wasn't so great. The energy was a little bit mixed up, and kind of disruptive a little bit. So I didn't really get a whole lot out of that group. But normally it's really, really nice and soothing and healing, and it's very beneficial. So you could always tell right off the start if a circle is going to work for you or not, just by tapping into your natural gifts that we talked about last time, tapping into your intuition and reading the energy of the other people in the room. All right, so here are the 6 ways in which women's circles can enhance your life. And the first one is sisterhood is actually good for your health. So when women come together, something special happens. The special connections created in female friendships or female circles has great healing powers, both emotionally and physically. Women's circles, women's communities are really good medicine. So it's just overall, you're going to leave 9 times out of 10, if you're in the right circle, in the right sisterhood group, you're going to leave there just so much lighter. And your energy is going to feel like it's been refreshed. So moving on, as far as the health goes, we know that having stress in our life is not really good for our health. And unfortunately, that is, stress these days are actually just a natural part of living life. And women do respond to stress differently than men. And we all already talked a little bit about this, going into the flight and flight mode and releasing. If we actually go into the flight and fight mode, when we do that, it releases a hormone called cortisol from our adrenals. But studies also have shown that men respond by getting more aggressive. That's usually how they do. So they want to fight. That's their tendency, is to fight. Where women want to gather in community. They want to come together, which is the tend and befriend response. And that produces the hormone of oxytocin. Anyway, and that helps bring that calming effect and brings your energy, brings you down a little bit instead of it bubbling up to the surface, which is when we do that, we have a tendency to react with our emotions as opposed to with compassion, which is what we should be doing. So giving yourself a place to gather with other women, especially when you're in times of stress, is good for your health because it creates safety. Our ancestral women knew this, and they felt safer and able to protect their young from attack by coming together. And that's still the same today. Women, you could see it when it's a case of emergency, or when within your family, if there's grief, if there's a loss of a family member, women come together to nurture, and that's what they want to do. They cook meals and they bring it to other people. So they want to gather everybody together. And that's what comes naturally to us. So we still do that today. So, though for different reasons, we do it for different reasons. It could be deaths in the family. It could be a celebration of new life. That's what women want to do. That's what they're good at. And it's often emotionally based. So when you engage in this biologically based tend and befriend response, you'll produce even more oxytocin and feel emotionally safe. So this hormone is actually the nurturing hormone, and it's the hormone that's released when you cuddle. Unlike the dopamine, which can set up addictive responses, oxytocin is a non-addictive brain chemical in the body, and it nurtures, supports, and connects us to other people. It makes us feel safe. Oxytocin is also responsible for helping a woman right after birth to activate her milk for breastfeeding and release the afterbirth from her uterus. And it also has a magical chemical, and we need more of it flowing in our bodies to create better lives. So a supportive cycle of women will activate the oxytocin in your body, and therefore give you a regular source of nurturing energy in your own life. So that's just, I mean, in and of itself, it's like huge, a huge benefit of just being in a women's community or a women's circle. So the second way is it gives us a safe place to be heard and understood, which is huge. A good circle gives you a safe place to be heard and understood, and that creates a safe, non-judgmental place for women to speak up on supporting our evolutionary process. So women's empowerment also equals Mother Earth's empowerment, and we know Mother Earth needs us to honor her even more than ever now. So plus, when you do that and you start speaking up for yourself, that is something that I find women have a hard time with doing. I myself have a hard time doing this sometimes. So by the time that we actually do speak up for ourselves, it comes out in the wrong way. So it comes out in the form of yelling, it comes out in the form of nagging, or just being over emotional. And that type of communication is both frustrating and ineffective. How many times, when you really kind of let your emotions take control of you, has there been a good result in that? Probably not very many. So it's an ineffective way to actually get to express yourself in the right way. And the behavior like this happens because we let things build up and we don't address them in a productive way. So we let our emotions get the best of us. And of course, in the heated moment, 9 times out of 10, we say things that we don't really mean, or it shouldn't have come up. It came up in a wrong way. So by having a women's circle or a community, a supportive community like a women's groups, it gives you a place to vent. It gives you a place to feel heard and even understood, because often other women are challenged by the same issues. And even though it could be common knowledge, we don't think that way. I'm the only one that's experiencing this. I don't have a support system. There's nobody I can go to. It's because we don't build community. We shy away from that. So together we can find ways to address life's issues in more productive ways, which, it's kind of like having masterminds and stuff like that. Being in a circle of women who support each other is a powerfully potent way to receive validation for ourselves as well. And when we feel validated, it increases our self-esteem. We'll stop second guessing ourselves and realize that our feelings are valid and actually it offers great wisdom and guidance when we are validated, when our feelings are validated. It makes us feel good about ourselves and, oh, okay. And because we live in a more masculine oriented world, it's easy for a woman to second guess herself. I'm sure there's not one person watching this video or in the group that does not second guess themselves. So the systems and structures aren't set up for her, or set up for us. And if the system doesn't fit, but she's grown up in it, she wonders, what's wrong with me, right? So if things don't really work or fit, what's wrong with me? How come this isn't working? This is the concept of a one size fits all with the school structures and the politics and religions and stuff like that. If it's not working for you, you think, well, what's wrong with me? Why am I getting this? Why is it not sticking with me? I don't understand it. It's just because it doesn't fit and it's not the right thing for you, and you need to find something else. You have to find your own truth, so to speak, and validate that you're not the only one, because there are other women out there that have experienced the same things and are feeling the same things. You just have to know that there is nothing wrong with you. The system is just broken in our society, right? And by being in circle, and when you have that validations, it will give you the confidence to make not only your world, but the entire world a better place to be in. So the third way is that you'll learn from one another. So when you can acknowledge and validate your feelings, you also become a wise woman. And gathering with a circle of women who are caring, sharing, and transparent with the challenges in their life is a great resource for other women. See, this is a really huge key factor here, okay? Gathering with a circle of women who are caring, sharing, and transparent with their challenges in their own lives is a great resource for other women. So in order to have a really good circle, a really good connection, you have to have people that are willing to be open to care, share, and be transparent enough to reveal the challenges in their lives. It's about revealing everything, not just the bad, the good too. It's about being transparent. You're taking the walls down and letting people actually see who you are. That's where we learn. That's where we connect the deepest at. So we learn from each other. We share our challenges and our wins and hear the challenges and wins of other women. And this can be very uplifting and inspiring. You begin to gain momentum in your life when you know what you have to say has helped other people too. And also seeing other women supported through their challenges, you witness their transformation, and just witnessing transformation of another person is just magical. And then they begin, when you see that, when you are the witness of that transformation, they begin to be like a role model for you in a new way. And we need better women role models today. But better women role models show up when we seek them, and they are found in women's circles, women's communities. Proper support creates courage, and then transformation happens. So when you create the courage that you need to be transparent enough, you let your walls down, that's when transformation happens. That's when we learn the most. That's when we have inspiration and healing moments. And when it's witnessed by other people, other women, it creates an opening for their transformation as well. So gathering intentionally with a circle of women creates this type of magical space for change to happen. Yeah, it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And the fourth way is that you do realize that you are not alone. So have you ever felt alone and isolated when you're facing something challenging in your life? Or did you feel you had no one to turn to and that no one understood you? I know I have. I could say yes to all of those questions. So another benefit of being in a circle with women is hearing other women's challenges. And you find out that they have similar challenges like yours. And it creates a commonality, and you no longer feel alone. Because isolating ourselves is the easy thing to do, but it's definitely not the healthier thing to do. And when you have a circle of women that you can turn to, you realize that you're not alone. And you may even hear another woman's story of a similar issue, and it helps you get through your struggles, your sacrifices, and it inspires you. I know just by being with other women, I am inspired. Hearing their stories, hearing the way that they move forward and move through obstacles is just very inspiring and motivating for me. And it could also, you could actually call women's circles sanity circles. Other women have been a source to keeping other women from going crazy. So turning to a group of girlfriends or sisters has been a saving grace for some women. So, and women, when we are in numbers, we are extremely powerful, and we have lots of wisdom to share. A circle of women is a way to provide each other with the support that we are longing for. So if I'm longing for acceptance, that's what I'm going to give to the group of women. And everybody's going to be longing for something different. So that's this magical, empowered circle with all these different non-judgmental attributes that each individual is offering into the circle. And then you just have this loving, presence, and the energy just builds and builds and builds. And it gives you a place to go, a place to address your stress instead of denying it. And when you have totally lost perspective on anything and everything, the circle actually helps you gain it back. So maybe they should actually be called sanity circles for women. It keeps us grounded and, activated in life. A circle of women is a safe place to feel, and it will give you the oasis that you're looking for, especially when life's challenges arise and you won't have to go it alone. You'll be a nurturing group of women to turn to, or there will be a nurturing group of women to turn to. I'm sorry, I think I'm getting some sinus stuff going on, and so things are coming out a little faster and a little weirder than normal. But anyway, so the fifth way is that community is created, or a community is created, and you feel supported through it. So now you're in circle and you feel supported, and you have a group of women that you can turn to on a regular basis, where you are seen and heard, and you're understood, and people feel you. A place where you feel supported and where you can give support. A place where women's wisdom is shared and honored. And you're now part of a community, and you share similar beliefs, similar goals and desires. That is building community. That's a very sacred container there. And not everybody is going to have, all the same values and all the same goals and beliefs and desires, but that also, you may have similar ones. It doesn't have to be the same, because each of us are different, and that's how we shift our perspective, and we transform our lives. We become more open-minded and accepting of everybody, regardless of their beliefs, goals, and desires. But it also has to be a healthy match too. So you've created this place, this community. So now you're getting all this stuff from other women. You can now offer your own wisdom as well and give it. You can get feedback on an objective point of view for an unclear situation in your life. And this is the power of community. So you're held in an energetic field of love, acceptance, and support. And there are different types of communities that we need to create to establish a better world. A world that is based on love, connection, instead of fear and separation. It's very powerful when you have that non-judgmental space that everybody can be who they are, show themselves. It's a very powerful, very moving feeling or environment that you're putting yourself in. And then the sixth way, the final thing that I'm going to be sharing today in this segment, is connecting to our ancient ways of matriarchy. So as a woman, inside you is a seed of communication, cooperation, and co-creation. And this comes from our ancient days of matriarchy. It's in our DNA to want to get along. The downside of that is many of us have created a bad habit of going along to get along, which ultimately ends up with sacrificing our needs and our wants just to be a part of it. And the patriarchal society that we live in really hasn't helped us any at all. So gathering regularly in a women's circle activates the power of our ancient ways, the times when women were honored for their feminine wisdom and their connection to Mother Earth's healing powers. It brings you back to that connection of the ancient ways, which I think is becoming, I think connecting with the ancient ways is just very, very important for us to do. Something that came up for me as I think it was the current new moon, I was doing some research on the energy of Aquarius. And of course, there's a lot of thoughts and opinions and controversy as far as what age we're in. But I believe fully that we are actually in the age of Aquarius now. And there's a lot of big shifts and changes going on. Well, Aquarius is the innovation, the innovator. And and it's not necessarily creating new things, but using the old to make something new. So I think that we really need to look at those ancient ways, and we need to connect to the things that are part of our truths, the things that connect and speak to us. We need to bring those forward into this day and age and evolve them with us, not exclude them and push them back, because that is not very healthy. And if you think about the ancient ways, there are so many things that is a resource for us that could help us live happier, healthier lives that are more aligned to who we were created to be. In ancient times, they did things. They kind of created their calendar based off the moon and the sun. You know, the stars, the alignments of the cosmos, the universe itself. You know, and because although we do live in a technology age, you know, everything's available to us at the drop of the hat just by, you know, Googling or researching. I think we do need to take on some of those ancient aspects that our ancestors used that help. I mean, look at how many of the years that they used without, I mean, survived without technology. Oh my gosh, they thrived. There were periods in ancient history, especially in the matriarchal times, which was short times, but in those times it flourished and prospered because it was the nourishment of the matriarch. It was the nurturing mother. It was the compassionate one. It was following instincts, which is something that we moved away from. You know, we talked about that in the last segment. You know, really tapping into our intuition, but bringing back some of our ancient ways, and connecting with those feminine aspects that have been pushed back and repressed for thousands and thousands of years, is going to help us moving forward. It's going to help us honor our own feminine wisdom and connecting to who we truly are. So that is what I wanted to share with you today, in this second part of the 7 signs of repressed feminine energy. And really tap into that. And if you don't have, you know, like a friend circle or a social circle or a community or something of your own, look into it and make sure you become a part of one. Hopefully you're a part of Anonymous No More. We have the virtual group on Facebook, and you know, this is on YouTube, but we're also going to be planning some personal connections. And like I said, I'm going to be doing some sacred Zoom room sessions virtually, just to connect, to have that build that community up, really connect at deeper levels, be able to have sacred space to share things that we're moving through, to help inspire other people. But find some place that you connect with, that connects with you, that you can start building your trust and build community with. Have a support system for you as a woman. Find a group of women or circle that fits that and holds that container for you, or builds that container for you. I think it's very, very important for me. I know it's important. And that's one of the things that I'm working on myself. Number one, being a part of community, but also participating in the community to the fullest that I can. And I think that's really, really big. So if you are a part of the community, make sure you're being equal with receiving and giving. That's huge. You have to do the work to get the most benefit out of it. And I think that goes for all things, especially when you are part of a community or a circle. The energy is just much more powerful when we do allow ourselves to be transparent, to be seen, and to be heard. And that's when we find out that, yes, we are being understood in this manner. Yeah, so that is all I have for today. And I think that was extremely powerful and eye-opening for some people. And I think it gives you a better understanding of kind of what community and stuff is all about. And maybe you find that you connect with that, and that is maybe something that's missing from your life, that you need to maybe work on for yourself. So with that, I invite you to be a part of community, find a women's community, women's circle, make sure that you join in virtually with Anonymous No More. We're, like I said earlier, we're doing the meet and greet this evening at 8 o'clock. Today is January 29th, it's Wednesday. So at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, we're doing a meet and greet on Zoom. And then I'll be posting the Sacred Zoom room coming up. We'll do that in February. And I think once it starts warming up is when I'm really going to start putting some personal connection circle meetings together. I'm still looking for a place as well. I'm debating on whether or not to have it here at or starting it here at my home. I can do that. I have the space to do that. I just have animals and stuff, so it can be a little bit of a struggle to line everything up to where it needs to be to make that happen. But I'm still looking at that idea. So if anybody has any suggestions that lives in the local area, please let me know, and then we can start moving forward with that. But primarily what I want it to be as far as the personal connections is probably like kind of like a field trip type thing. So maybe we'll do the rage room, which is where you go and just break stuff. And I think I want to do that at a after a full moon, because you know the moon is waning and it's about releasing. So probably like the third quarter moon would be a great time for that, for us just to release all that it is that we need to release. And we can do it through just breaking stuff. I thought that would be really, really cool. So we might do that as the first meetup. But what I want to do is start to build trust, starting to build the community so that we feel comfortable with each other before planning to meet personally, because some people have a tendency to not show up if they really don't know other people because they feel awkward. So I think for now we're going to do meetups virtually until I have that sense that we are connecting and becoming familiar and comfortable with one another. And then we're going to start doing that. I think we'll start with the rage room. That'll be fun and interesting to participate with. And then we'll do other fun things. When the weather warms up, we'll do some outdoorsy activities, which is wonderful when you're working with the feminine energy, because we will be able to connect with nature and Mother Earth. So that'll be fun. I'm looking at maybe a hike coming up once the weather warms up. And then I have a pool, so maybe we'll do like a swim gathering too. So to connect with water. But anyway, so that's what's to look forward to in the coming months as everything transitions and everything. Oh, I wanted to mention too that I am doing a embolic candle lighting ceremony on February 2nd. I believe at 6 o'clock, because I want to do it I want to connect just before the sun sets, because that is a really powerful time on embolic. We're celebrating the coming of the light. So if you're interested in that, I will post the link to that in the Facebook group. And then you can join me there. And it's online. It's not in person. It's online. Sometimes it's a little bit more convenient for people to connect online these days because of our busy schedules. And I live about an hour away from just about anything. So, but anyway, I hope you enjoyed this segment. And then next segment next week, I will be doing an interview with Rebecca Curson next week, talking about consciousness and the feminine. And so that will be coming. Rebecca is a fabulous lady, amazing woman, very powerful in her gifts. So I'm really looking forward to connecting with her. And then, but also next week, I will be doing the third segment in this the repressed feminine energy on disconnection from our body. So that is what you have to look forward to next week. So I do hope that you have enjoyed this segment, and I look forward to connecting with those of you who will be on the meet and greet tonight, and I will also be looking forward to becoming anonymous no more together moving forward. I hope you all enjoy the video and have a wonderful evening.